Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic that is near to my heart. How can you tell if someone's a true expert versus they're just a dilettante, they don't really know what they're talking about? And the reason this is close to my heart is because it's very hard to tell the difference a lot of times, especially if you are brand new to a subject. Like if I tell you how to be a garbage man and I'm a dilettante and I've only been doing it a few days, someone who's been a garbage man for 30 years is going to have a lot of tips and tricks that you would never think of. Typology is one example, but since my foremost area of expertise is sound, I probably have 20,000 hours of expertise with sound at this point. I'm going to use that as an example. So let's say that you give, earlier tonight, I was with a friend in his truck, and he was showing me his subs and speakers, all that cool stuff. He said he took it to a professional and had it tuned. And then I sat in there and I was like, this sounds bad. So naturally, I open up the settings on his equalizer and his controls, and I use my understanding of equalization from having thousands of hours of equalization experience to make it sound the way I think it should sound. And he's like, holy crap, dude, that sounds amazing. How did you do that? And I'm like, well, I have 15,000 hours of experience tweaking equalizers. I would hope by now I would be good. And it just, if I look at videos on YouTube, for example, of the very best people on YouTube that talk about sound for cars, they know a lot of stuff, but they just don't know all the inner details of equalization. I mean, I think, interestingly enough, there's a curve you go through as you learn a new subject. Let me fix the video for you here. There's a curve you go through as you learn a new subject. You start to know a little bit, so you think you know a lot, and that's called a dilettante. And then you start knowing less and less and less over time. And then, interestingly, it starts to turn around, and you start to realize, oh, wait, I know a lot about this subject. And this is like when you're one of the foremost experts in the world. I think there comes a point where you actually start to realize, hey, you really actually do know more than most people. You know relatively more than most people about this subject. And when I say most people, I mean people in the field, not just any random person, because obviously the guy's truck who I tuned didn't know anything about sound. And people, like for example, if someone asks me to tune their stereo versus a noob, the difference between an expert and a dilettante or a novice is that the dilettante is going to be like, okay, I'm going to follow the textbook rules of I need to tune 100 hertz versus 500 hertz in this specific way. That's what the book says to do. Whereas I will be like, oh, there's a resonance at 300 hertz in this car stereo. All right, let's check 1600 hertz because the ear uses those two frequencies as reference points, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me listen to 10 kilohertz. Oh, it looks like there's a mismatch of frequencies, and the reverberation time is different at these different frequencies. Let me fix that. That is what I would think. And based on that, I would make a bunch of very different decisions on how I affect the sound because I know things about sound that the novice literally does not know. And I think a lot of what separates true experts is that the true experts tend to have their idiosyncratic ways of handling a problem from experience combined with theory, whereas the novices will just follow theory and textbook, paint by numbers. Let's talk about typology just for a second. How much of an expert would I say I am at typology? I would say my current typology understanding is like my understanding of sound when I was 10 or 11 years old. Just to give you a relative picture. And since I know I'm not like an extreme expert, I know that I know certain things. Like there are things that I knew about sound when I was 7 that are still true today. And I try to approach typology or any new thing that I endeavor into because you want to make sure that you're not. I made my last video about minimizing mistakes. It's really important. You can figure out what's true pretty early on. Like there are certain truths you can come to. So I can understand by reasoning, okay, SI works this way, and I can't really prove that it works another way. Okay, so that's like a notch in my belt of understanding. And what happens is you start to get all these clicks of experience. Like I had these crazy social experiences tonight, just like random people. And then of course people I also knew, like the guy in his truck. blew my mind. But the only way this could have happened is I've had certain clicks with how people work from typology, combined with clicks from social dynamics, clicks from psychology books I've read, all sorts of different fields, sociology, so many books, lots of great books on that subject, 500 books. And all these clicks connect together. Like all the clicks, like for example, I know I started to understand, okay, 100 hertz sounds like this, 500 hertz sounds like this. And then I'll read a psychoacoustics book that says 1600 hertz does this to the ear, 500 hertz does this, phase issues do this, and you make all these connections and it starts to all connect together. I believe this is a very introverted thinking approach, TISI, and an NTP thing for sure. If you're another type than that and you do that too, I'm curious. Also, I'm curious how different types are when they're extreme experts at something. And of course, expertise, even though you're a relative expert at something, doesn't mean that there's not an Einstein that will come along and change the game. It's just that you're a relative expert and you're effectively, practically speaking, one of the best people at that specific thing. So I don't want to be clear that I don't mean that it's like at sound, I'm the ultimate god of sound. No. It's just that relatively speaking, I have a very hard time finding anyone, even professionals and experts, that know things that I do and can practically apply them. I think practical application ability, it's the same thing like the novice follows the textbook, but the true expert knows truly what a concept means from a gut level experience, and they can apply it and make it work in the real world very quickly and effectively. Like it took me, and with superior results in a very short period of time. Like that guy's truck, I made it sound really good in 10 minutes. A really good audio professional, like at a concert, can make something sound good in minutes. The very top professionals that produce the top records know what to do instantly and make it sound good really fast. So that's another key indicator is true experts can be not only the best, but they do it really fast.